Okay, let's dive right into something fascinating. Today, we're exploring an invisible biological force, something you probably thought you completely understood, but which actually dictates how you age, how you heal, and literally how you think. You know, you're about to discover a hidden operating system running beneath your daily human experience, and it's going to completely shift how we understand biology, behavior, and long-term health.
And we're going to start with a scientific paradox that will instantly shatter your preconceived notions. Less than 5%, yeah, you heard that right, less than 5% of your body's total melatonin actually comes from your pineal gland, the tiny structure in your brain that we have constantly been told is the sole manufacturer of this crucial hormone. It's actually only responsible for a tiny fraction of it.
So let's unpack that in part 1, the sleep hormone myth.
Which brings us right to part 2, the brain's master clock, where we figure out what that 5% is actually doing.
For decades, we've basically been sold this massive oversimplification, right? We've treated this ancient, elegant molecule merely as a biological sledgehammer that just knocks you out at the end of the day. But to really solve the mystery here, we first have to map out that 5%. And it is a beautifully coordinated biological relay race. Think about it. Fading light hits your retina, which signals the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. That's your brain's master clock. The SCN instantly triggers the release of norepinephrine, and that specific chemical command tells the pineal gland, hey, synthesize melatonin and release it into the bloodstream.
So once it's in your bloodstream, this melatonin travels to your brain and binds to two very distinct receptors. On one hand, you have the MT1 receptor. This sits in areas like the locus coeruleus and regulates your dreaming, your REM sleep. On the other hand, you have the MT2 receptor in the reticular thalamus, and that one drives your deep, really restorative, non-REM sleep. These receptors aren't just doing the same generic job. They are executing this delicate evolutionary dance of opposing forces to perfectly generate your sleep architecture.
But here's the catch, and it's absolutely crucial. This intricate system is incredibly fragile. Research actually shows that these receptors desensitize really quickly after melatonin exposure. It's a delicate biological balance, meaning if we artificially flood these receptors, we literally shatter the very architecture, that precise cycling between REM and deep NREM sleep that these receptors evolved to support in the first place.
Okay, but this brings us to a massive, mind-bending question. If your pineal gland only produces 5% of this hormone, and it's doing all of that insanely complex neurological work just to manage your sleep-wake cycle, where in the world is the other 95%? What is it doing?
Let's uncover that in part 3, the guardian of your cells.
It's time to move deeper below the surface into a hidden biological reality happening inside almost every single cell in your body. The vast majority of your melatonin is what scientists call extrapineal. It's synthesized locally, directly inside your mitochondria, the tiny powerhouses inside your cells making all your energy. And what's truly paradigm-shifting here is that this extrapineal melatonin doesn't have a circadian rhythm. It doesn't care about light and dark. It never even enters your bloodstream. It stays right there inside the cell to protect your metabolic balance.
Inside the mitochondria, this localized melatonin is essentially acting as an elite biological guardian. Look, as your cells produce energy, they inevitably produce reactive oxygen species, or free radicals, which cause massive cellular damage over time. This local melatonin is sitting there to instantly scavenge those free radicals, prevent cell death, and preserve your cognitive longevity. It is quite literally acting as a microscopic shield against the biological wear and tear that we casually call aging.
But as amazing as that shield is, it does have a vulnerability. As we get older, our natural melatonin production plummets. And this isn't just some harmless side effect of adding candles to your birthday cake. It creates a vicious cycle of mitochondrial decay. To put that into perspective, researchers have found that cerebrospinal fluid melatonin levels decrease markedly with age. And in patients with cognitive decline and Alzheimer's disease, those levels are severely depleted. When that guardian disappears, the brain's neural pathways are just left completely exposed to inflammation.
Because it protects our mitochondrial function so flawlessly, literally rescuing respiratory capacity and shielding neural pathways. Longevity experts have actually published papers calling this ancient targeted hormone one of evolution's absolute best ideas for anti-aging. I mean, it is a total masterpiece of biological engineering.
So that naturally leads us to part 4, the melatonin supplement paradox.
This incredible science brings us face to face with a massive modern environmental conflict. We live in an era where we're constantly trying to blindly biohack this delicate, beautifully evolved system with over-the-counter supplements. Because these sleep aids aren't regulated as medications by the FDA, we're frequently ingesting a completely synthetic hormone. Studies are finding highly inaccurate label dosing, massive overdoses in a single pill, alongside hidden, completely undisclosed serotonin and CBD. And the fallout? It's real. Between 2012 and 2021, there were over 260,000 reported pediatric poisonings involving melatonin.
But here is the truly tragic irony of it all. We're taking massive doses of systemic synthetic pills hoping to fix our health and our sleep. But flooding your blood with synthetic sleep gummies does not effectively reach or replenish the 95% of melatonin that's needed locally, deep inside your mitochondria, for actual cellular repair. You literally cannot fix a localized intracellular energy crisis by simply dropping a synthetic sledgehammer into your bloodstream.
Which brings us to our final takeaway in Part 5, the biology of human flourishing.
Let's synthesize all of this. This entirely changes our understanding of human health, longevity, and performance. Instead of relying on a synthetic quick fix, true long-term human flourishing requires supporting this deeply interconnected system. It means optimizing your natural daylight exposure to protect your SEN's master clock. It means preserving your brain's natural receptor sensitivity so you can cycle flawlessly through your sleep stages. And it means supporting your overall mitochondrial resilience so your cells can synthesize their own protective melatonin right where it's needed most.
Ultimately, this proves something profound. Your health isn't just a disjointed checklist of separate random habits. No, health is the breathtaking, emergent result of thousands of invisible biological processes, from the light hitting your retina, to the firing of your locus coeruleus, to the scavenging of free radicals in your mitochondria, all working in perfect, rhythmic unison every single moment of every day.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to consider for your own life. When you turn off the lights tonight, are you just managing your sleep? Or are you signaling the biological operating system that dictates exactly how you will age, how you will heal, and who you'll become tomorrow? Now that you know what's truly happening in the dark, how will you fundamentally rethink your daily behaviors?